tried the co-founder thing with Disha. It was the challenge. 68% of businesses fail out of co-founder conflicts. Real talk. Essentially, you get a co-founder gives you a high chance of failure. Because while you're busy trying to navigate a team you are actually building, you might also be trying your best to manage these co-founders to ensure you guys are going in the same direction. At the time, there was a phase in Disha we actually moved to shut down the company. I moved to shut down the company because I was like, we should either stop this, because at some point, one co-founder decided and said, pay me $100,000 for my shares in the company. I'm like, what? And to be honest, this is an exclusive because I've not mentioned this online. It makes no sense. I think that co-founder, it means you both were founders. I mean, I think founder, I think shovel. We are both digging this ground to plant. The earliest story of co-founder I remember is Moses and Aaron. And I said, who was called to the burning bush? I said Moses. Who was the one building the golden calf? Aaron. The same co-founder you said, because the truth is that sometimes the vision belongs to you.
My name is Esther, and on my tech journey with Esther, I sit down with tech folks to talk about how they've been able to handle rejections, overcome obstacles in their careers, and really cut through the hype. From coding mistakes to battling rejections, to balancing work life, and even doing phenomenal things, my guests will share everything raw and real on my tech journey with Esther. New episodes drop every week, so you don't want to miss out. Hi Evans, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Alright, so before we get started on the conversation, I'm just going to read your biography and so that those that don't know you can get more familiar with you. Alright, Evans Akanno is a tech entrepreneur and the founder of Vizi AI, a no-code website platform. With over 10 years of experience in digital product creation, he has led teams from idea to launch. He holds a master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship from the University of California, and he is currently pursuing his second master's degree in artificial intelligence in business. He's also certified in innovation and strategy by Harvard University. Named one of Forbes Africa's 30 under 30 in technology, Evans is known for his creativity, innovation, and commitment to driving positive change as a tech entrepreneur. So, Evans, it's really nice to have you, join me on the podcast today. I'm very excited to dive into your story, your journey, and just hear you give us insights into, your experience so far. But before we get started on the conversation, I always like to play fun games with my guests. So I have an interesting question to ask you as a tech founder. If you could pick a gadget or an app for the rest of your life, just something that you have and you don't have access to any other gadget or app, what would that be?
I get only one choice, right?
Yeah, just one.
The iPhone.
The iPhone.
Yeah.
Okay, why? That was actually going to be my answer as well. Why do you say so?
I would have said the MacBook Pro, right? Because the MacBook has I could be able to do what I love to do, design and stuff. But I realized that my work is evolving from design to me just talking to people and inspiring them what to do. And so the fact that the MacBook does not have a place for an eSIM, I'll take an iPhone because I'll need to talk. Because that's one gadget I can use to connect with family, friends, work, and that just works for me. And then the pictures and the videos, everything on the device, the iPhone.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, it's also my iPhone because I can literally do without any other thing, but my phone is always with me. Like you said, you connect with family, friends, my iPhone it is. Okay, that's cool. So I think a good place to start the conversation is from your tweet. Your tweet that you made last month. I was able to resonate with it, and you mentioned that it's been 3 years since you moved from Nigeria to the US. Yeah, that's the tweet.
Because I'm like,
yeah. You're like, what tweet? Yeah, that tweet where you mentioned that, it's been 3 years that you moved from Nigeria to the US and you're currently pursuing your second master's degree. For me, it was very interesting because not everyone even has a master's degree, and considering that you're pursuing your second master's degree, you're like the 1% of the 10% probably. So I would like to just find out what's spurred you into pursuing this second degree, knowing that it's like artificial intelligence in business. What was the driving force behind this decision?
Truth be told, it's immigration delays and stuff, and I just felt like I had extra time. And I've been someone who, when I tell people about success, I say success is vastly contributed to by what you do in the meantime. And in my journey, it has always been about, in the meantime, what am I doing? So finishing my first degree in 2010 in chemistry, the meantime between graduating from that degree and getting a job that is in Shell or Chevron, one of those companies in oil and gas, what was I doing there? I was designing, right? Because while you're in that waiting season for the next thing, you need to be productive at that time. I always had issues that people say, what are you doing now? I'm looking for a job. That's the meantime. What are you filling up with that space? Are you gaining a new skill? Are you improving your presentation skills? What are you doing before you get to that goal? So my goal in the US has been to have a second place I call home, right? I mean, the state of Nigeria is a beautiful one that, you want to make sure you have that second option, right? And so during that, there was a gap I saw, like a 1.5 year gap between what I have now and that permanent residence / the citizenship journey. And I thought it's better to go for a second degree. I mean, I saw there was a degree in AI that can be applied to business. It aligns with what I was already doing. Even my first master's degree is in innovation entrepreneurship, because I'm always about whatever you're doing also aligns with the goal, destination you're trying to get to. Because I believe that in as much as you have a fixed destination, you should be flexible with the journey to get there.
Yeah.
There are multiple roads or multiple ways to get to Rome. You want to find the easiest path or the most sane path or the most edifying path to get there. So second master's degree, it aligns with me building VZ as an AI company. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, I love what you said about even if you're waiting for something, like what are you currently doing? You can't just be waiting and food in your hand. So for you, it was, what exactly were you waiting for when you decided to, run the second master's degree?
There's this visa, the EB visa, and
okay.
There was a backlog from when I had filed, and that kind of just showed the registration has somewhere around 1 year gap, at the time. And I just thought it's a lot better to just fix a master's degree there.
So how do you then balance running the degree with building VZ as a company?
Well, the truth is that with VZ, I am not actively working. Technically, there's a team set up. I built this company, even before I left the country, Nigeria. I started building like a few months before I left Nigeria. And so I already have teams in place who get to manage literally everything. My input is mostly to review design systems, to review technical abilities, receive feedback from people and just implement. My work mostly is research, right? Because I'm also doing a degree that applies to research in areas where AI can help business or innovation or entrepreneurship. So most of what I spend most of my time doing is not actively working on the business, but actually studying, taking my time to do research on things that can benefit the business after I'm done with the program.
I see. So your team is your team majorly in Nigeria or is spread in different parts of the world?
Majority of them are in Nigeria.
Okay.
I also have people who are not based off Nigeria. There's 1 or 2 people in the US here and in Canada, but majority of them are in Nigeria.
Okay. All right. I also like us to talk a bit about Cregital because I think that was the first time I heard about Evans Akanno. I was in during my NYSC, and at that point I was thinking of what to do, and I actually started my tech journey as a UI designer. So when I came back to Lagos after my NYC, I got to know about Cregital and your design agency. So let's talk a bit more about what was running a design and digital agency like. What was running Cregital like in Lagos at that time?
It was a high stress environment, which I always pretended that it was a walk in the park. It was
Okay.
my most stressful ordeal. And the reason is that at the time I was doing this, I was very young. I was just one of those people that never thought that waiting on the government to fix unemployment or fix any other thing was the solution. I felt like, dude, go out there and be the change you want to see, right? And so what people saw as Cregital was not started at the time they thought it started. It started like a year before I left university. And only a few people in the industry know that there was something called Evans Akanno Agency as at 2012.
Interesting.
Because at that time I had clients like DSTV MultiChoice, because I was designing like the very first early versions of the AMVC awards. And these were like my clients way back at that time, and a few other companies who have grown to become a lot larger today. I was at the formative stage of those companies using my name as my business name. And so I did that. I got to work for like a year. After I started the agency, I had clients, and then I got hired by Jumia at the time, and then moved to Conga a year after. And business was growing so fast on the Americano side, and I just thought it only makes sense. What's crazy is in 2014, I think they were ranking top 10 startups in Nigeria, and it was crazy. Conga was number 1, Evans Akanno was number 10 in the same country, and it was like,
Interesting.
dude, you can't be doing this and be a staff. Maybe you should go build this thing and see where it goes. And so I went off to build that company, and the first step was to rebrand it, because there was a conflict of who is Evans Akanno and what is Evans Akanno. The name and the business became a little difficult to separate, and I just thought I should rebrand this agency from Evans Akanno to something else. And I loved the idea of being a creative and digital company. I just merged the 2 words, and we have creative digital, which is Cregital, right? And that became one company I would put every of my energy on. We are getting bigger clients after like a year or 2. We are building websites for most of the banks in Africa at the time. And this is not even just building like a Zenith Bank in Nigeria. It was like the Ghana website, the Sierra Leone website, the UK website. We are doing this for most of these brands. But then again, I would say high stress environment, because what we were doing at the time, securing those clients required me taking bikes to meetings, even though I had a car. Taking bikes from the mainland to the island, trying to make sure I'm not spending my life on traffic. It was a very stressful environment. Working with clients in Nigeria too, it was not a walk in the park. There are times when, trying to secure a client, you're spending 6 months in the talking stage of the relationship, and you're like, where are we going with this? And the biggest currency everyone has is their time. And so you're careful that you're not just burning time chasing clients. You're making sure this business is staying profitable. And I had a very large team at the time. I think when I was 26, I think I had up to 10 people on my team. And no one in the history of being employed by me has ever been owed a salary. No one. What they're not seeing is that building or bootstrapping a business where no one can say that they were ever owed, it's a huge flex, but it is a lot of work. It's the fact that that CEO is calculating every month the revenue coming in, ensuring that the costs are being met, the lights are on. One of my biggest skill is bootstrapping, which it doesn't even get enough rep for it, because in the world we are in today, the venture-backed startups are the ones being celebrated. However, it takes a unique skill for you to understand how to build from nothing. And that resilience is born out of the fact that the country we have, shows you what you can do with less, And so this is how, I built over time. Cregital was a good run at the time, until I left the country.
Yeah.
How many resumes have you sent out with zero response? Or maybe you're getting interviews but you just can't seem to land a job. I've been there and I know it's so frustrating, right? But the good news, I've created a toolkit to change all of that for you. Introducing the Get a Job Toolkit, your step-by-step guide to finally land your dream tech job. Inside, you get 3 resume and cover letter templates, a job tracking sheet, 100 plus interview power phrases, reach out messages to recruiters, and a LinkedIn optimization checklist. I created this toolkit because I know how hard applying to jobs can be. So whether you're just starting out your career or making a career switch to tech, this will save you so much time and stress. Click the link below to grab your toolkit and let's get you hired.
And you mentioned that you had really top tier clients. What would you say were some of the things that made Cregital that company that, when you're talking to top tier clients, they are willing to even put their money down and trust you enough to complete their project? What were some of the traits that or the culture that you built into Cregital that made people just believe in the business?
I think we did lots of storytelling. It was something that I love to do. Personally on my Instagram, I always like telling stories, right? And so with the business, I wanted to do that same storytelling approach. So everything was a story to be told. The fact that we had an environment where you can literally walk in and you don't have the skill in writing code, but then you are writing code under 6 months because the environment is chill. You're not worried about internet, it's available, just do what you have to do. I always encourage experimentation because I felt like, and I learned from different things. I would tell people things like, listen, a baby doesn't get to walk by reading a book on how to walk. They get to look at others and try and they fail. But the truth is that when they try and try again, if you have a supportive environment that encourages them to keep trying, they will eventually become good at it. We had people who stayed there, like from a 3rd-year internship at Cregital, and they moved on to doing the NYC at Cregital to eventually becoming full-time people at Cregital. And all of these things was that nurturing aspect of it. On the client side, I was available full-time. Like, my weekends, my late nights were all to make those clients believe that, listen, that excellence is something that I will push to the limits I understand in design and code to make sure that, these platforms we are building for you, these websites we are building for you, have the absolute best user experience for your end users. And there were times that I also, there was one particular meeting that this was the first time that I met with Elumelu at Cregital. He had demanded for a meeting, and then I think that meeting happened on a Saturday. And what was weird was I had this new MacBook with the USB-C, and I forgot my dongle. And I was in this boardroom at Here's Holdings, and I was supposed to pitch to them about building a website for their brand. And I couldn't use my slides or my laptop. And so I asked for a whiteboard. And I explained their website on a whiteboard. I explained every single aspect, what should go where, without my slides. And they were like, this guy must be crazy, like for him to explain this, for us to understand, even using a marker and paper. And it's because even at Cregital, there are pictures of me teaching, whenever I was to explain something, and whenever there's an opportunity to teach people, I'm just like, yeah, come, let me teach you guys. I always had like free trainings if possible. Just come by the office, let's teach you stuff. A little over a month ago, there was a little boy, the youngest person who had done an internship at Cregital. He was maybe 12 at the time he came to do an internship at our place for 2 weeks. His dad would come drop him off, and this guy wrote to me a month ago saying he has now graduated in the UK and he wants to come back to Nigeria and he wants to do an internship again. And I'm like, wow, after all these years,
Yeah, wow.
you just realize, these things, this story I'm telling you is something that's in 2015. And by next year, it's been 10 years.
10 years,
of me
yeah.
launching
Wow.
what was Cregital, And you don't see that it compounds over time. The experience of building that company, the challenges of building that company has been used in a greater cause. Because now, with Visi, I don't get to design websites for any clients. We have people as far as Indonesia building websites on Visi. We have people in South Africa. We have people in places that I don't know if I would buy a ticket to go to those countries. And they're there and they're using Visi and they're talking about it. They're sending emails to us saying this is absolutely easy to use. But that ease of use that they enjoy is from countless meetings and feedback and training clients on how to use websites. And you now realize that why can't I just embody all these things on the actual tool so it is easy by default? Which is pretty much, when I thought about building a new tech company, all I wanted something that is very easy. And so very easy was very, very crucial to anything we are building, and it formed the name. So from very easy, you get Visi.
Oh, interesting. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, it's just, I try to say it's easy. Cregital is Cregital, Visi is very easy.
Wow, interesting. Visi is actually very easy because I tried creating a website for myself, just playing around with the tool, and it was very easy to create a website for myself. You had templates that you can just pick from and prompt the AI to generate stuff for you, and it was really easy. So I guess for me, I was also curious to know if I know about Disha pages, but I also want to know, was it Disha pages that evolved into Visi, or is Visi a totally different product?
Totally different. So the first thing is that Disha was acquired in 2021. We had our own, after building it in 2019, we had misalignments on how we should go, and the best thing at the time was to get it acquired. And so it was acquired by Flutterwave, and there's even stories about this online. And after that acquisition, I was already thinking about, because at the time, Disha's goal was mostly link in bio, right? Was a link in bio tool, right? I knew that I wanted to build something that would be like a Squarespace eventually. Something much more complicated, much more advanced, right? However, it should still take that ease of use approach. Data points show that people use mobile devices more than desktops. And it's always frustrating how you use WordPress. At that time, there was a Disha, but we build websites on WordPress, or Webflow, But even Webflow was a little too complicated because there's a whole Webflow university. And I was like, how can I want to build something that you say is no code and I have to go to university to study how to use it? And so what was important to me was, how can I build an advanced website builder with the simplest of tooling? And so in that process of exit from Disha, I was already working out the rails on building something that was more advanced, which is Visi. Totally different from Disha, not affiliated in any way. Like essentially, Disha was a stopgap in my career, and then from Cregital to Visi.
Awesome. And I know of Visi, I know of, you mentioned Webflow, other websites building tools. I was curious, how would you say Visi compares? I know there's the ease, which is a very easy, but what are some of the things that also, stand Visi out of like the plethora of website builders out there?
So one thing that really stands out is the fact that if you want to build your website right on your phone, also the reason why your first question about what's the one device you take with you, mobile phone, because Visi works right on mobile phone. On any browser, you can actually create a full desktop-ready website on your phone, right? There is no other builder in the market that can pull that off right now.
That's awesome.
Not Webflow, not Framer, none of them. And the reason is because the way they are built for desktop-oriented users. Vizy is still built for the creator out there, for the not so technical person, right? Just like how you can run ChatGPT from your browser. That's the kind of accessibility that Vizy is providing, right? We are saying that, listen, you do not need advanced tooling. So where you would see padding or margin, we use a simple word spacing.
Very easy for the common person, yeah. Okay.
What's also crazy is that we also find that even people who are advanced realize that I may not even want to spend 3 months or 2 months on Webflow for this simple website. I'd rather just use Vizy and raise it up in like 5 minutes, right? The goal of Vizy is that by providing your business name and what you do, we can spin up a website that is 95% complete. And then you can just make changes and say, no, I don't like the word here, let's change this word, let's change this word. And you hit publish and it's live. It means that at some point, if you want a lead gen on that website, we're automatically populating the fields we know that you would need on that lead gen. And there's even much more things that are baked into Vizy. For example, analytics is already by default within your website.
Yeah, so that
there's a contact list within your website. And I think by tomorrow we are launching digital products inside Vizy as well.
Oh, awesome. So how do you mean?
So digital products mean that you can sell your ebook within Vizy. You can sell your, link to your email, not link to your calendar. Say, for example, someone can purchase time off your calendar.
Oh, really? Like schedule?
Exactly, you can schedule out of it. And there's still much more things we want to build into this. You can be able to upload, essentially you can sell downloads and links through Vizy from tomorrow, right? And these are things we are building into it so that, the way I kind of thought about it in the beginning was a simple tool where you can manage pages, posts, and eventually products, right? Pages has been sorted. We have really nice pages, and with those pages, there are sections inbuilt in them. All those sections come responsive by default. So if you selected, I want a pricing block, you can keep on flexibly change that pricing block. Never worry about what it shows on mobile because mobile is sorted.
That's so
and
awesome.
That responsive thing was something I saw as a challenge while building Cregital. Whenever we build those websites, there's a phase of the project called mobile responsivity, and we keep on like fine-tuning for mobile. I'm like, I don't want to do this all the time. I would like to build something. So Vizy is like almost all my Cregital dreams coming true. Me saying I want something to do carousel on cards, and I'm not having to code that every time. There was a time I wanted to build a WordPress theme, but it kind of just fell through because I didn't have the right team that could build out a WordPress theme. But now with Vizy it's a whole different thing, because if we hadn't built a WordPress theme, when you switch from theme A to theme B, it breaks the whole site. And that's one challenge with even every other website builder out there. They are not as flexible in changing themes. With Vizy, you can literally just in one click you change a theme, and every page plus upcoming pages would adapt to that theme. Because the
awesome.
platform itself embodies a design system in it. So that way, like, again, every single thing I know in one product, that is Vizy. Everything I will even know in the course of building Vizy is all in that same product. For me, this is that product I would say that it's my legacy after 10 years of building websites. I built a platform that enables the WhatsApp user to create websites as well.
Create a website. Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just hearing you talk about what stands Vizy out, and even for me trying out the tool, I have tried different website builders. I've tried Webflow, I've tried Framer, I've tried WordPress, and not just because you're here, the experience I had when I used Vizy was very seamless. And just hearing you say that I can also build a website from my phone, I think that's like the icing on the cake, because I always use my laptop. But just knowing that anyone, like, you do not have to be a programmer or a web designer for you to create a website. Anybody these days can create a website with Vizy, and I think that's like the topping for me. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. I know that right now you're the founder of Vizy, but in your previous company you had a co-founder. So my question is, being the founder of Vizy currently without having a co-founder, is that a conscious decision that you made, or were there any things you learned from Cregital that you felt like, okay, maybe at this point in the building phase of Vizy, I do not need a co-founder?
At Cregital, I was the sole founder as well. And I think that I didn't do justice to clearing that up properly, right?
Okay.
I built Cregital.
Okay.
However, at the 4th year of building the company, I then made someone partner, right? I looked at the person who I've hired who has been the longest on the team, and I'm like, just like you go to like a consulting company and then they say you've grown to the level of partner, right? Your KPMG and the likes, right? And that's what I did. And with that company, and then said, oh, with Disha, we'll be co-founders, And also some of these things, I think the challenge with it is also how the tech industry is structured. It seems to be structured in a way that you should always have a co-founder. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't. And I realized that over time. No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because setting up all these rules also means that at some point we can say things like, oh, before you build a tech company, you must have studied computer science as a prerequisite. And my life is full of defying the odds, right? My original background is in industrial chemistry. It's not in design. Design was a thing I loved to do, It's just like Adekunle Gold, who was a graphic designer many years ago, right? That's exactly the way my career was, Graphic design as a thing of leisure. You love to, design graphics, you love to put silhouettes, you love to use colors, and you love to use the computer. And then you now realize, okay, I could build a career around what I love to do. Right, so in the trenches, when I was starting off these businesses, I mostly set them alone. I had friends around me who would encourage me, oh, Evans, this thing you're doing now, you know what? We know you'll be awesome at it, but they were not, in the field digging or using the shovel with me. I always felt like, it's important that you have the right people at that time building. And what is funny also is the fact that I've actually looked for co-founders in the past,
but for Vizy,
not for Vizy.
Or for the past companies.
Yeah, for the past companies. Remember Cregital, I was actually looking for a co-founder, but nobody wanted to, get in so early. They don't really believe, So, and I felt that was weird. You explain this is what you want to build. Let's build this together. Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, just start building. Let's see, and the person comes when it is like almost
ready.
Done.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. So we're talking about how to, So I think what we should do now is let's cover the pot and let it cook for the next 5 minutes.
When it's already done, like
it's already done.
Yeah.
You understand? And again, you have to check the environment we are in, right? The environment we are in is one where risk is not something people are open to. We are both Nigerians. How many Nigerians pray that they see a problem they can solve? We pray to not see problems.
Yeah.
So being someone with the mindset of problems are opportunities in disguise, you realize that not everyone has the same mindset. And I'm someone who, the amount of claps I'm getting or the amount of energy I'm getting to start something is not relevant. I have eaten enough ginger that I'm okay to actually ginger myself to start anything. So I don't need, someone to tell me, let's do it together. I'm fine. I understand the challenges of building. I tried the co-founder thing with Disha. It was the challenge. 68% of businesses fail out of co-founder conflict. Real talk. Essentially, you getting a co-founder gives you a high chance of failure, because while you're busy trying to navigate the team who are actually building, you might also be trying your best to manage these co-founders to ensure you guys are going in the same direction. It's an unpopular thought, but it's there. It's part of the challenges of building a tech company. And I've had people reach out to me and tell me they have this amazing idea. Should they get a co-founder? And I'm like, don't get sucked up into this thing. I was also sucked up into it. If you have something you want to do, maybe you should go do it. Because if people share their co-founder stories, like if people are vulnerable enough to tell you their co-founder stories, you won't touch that thing with a pole. A lot of them will just not say it. It's like an unsaid thing in the tech industry. At the time, there was a phase in Disha we actually moved to shut down I moved to shut down the company, because I was like, we should either stop this, because at some point one co-founder resigned and said, oh, pay me $100,000 for my shares in the company. I'm like, what? And to be honest, this is an exclusive because I've not mentioned this online. And I was like, nah, this makes no sense.
At that time, how many co-founders did you have?
Oh, we had 3. We had 2, so 3 of us. And it was just like, it's almost like, you know what, let's pause on the innovation we want to innovate and fight within ourselves. I'm like, what is this thing? We came here to solve problem. Building LinkedIn bios are not the best way right now. Let's make it easier. Let's make it faster. Let's make it simpler. And now we have to keep that idea on pause and argue within each other who owns what and what owns who. I'm like, guys, even the people who write code on this platform are staffs of Cregital. The office of this business is Cregital. And I own this company. What are we fighting about? Okay, what is your contribution? And that is me trying the co-founder thing. I think that co-founder, it means you both were founders. And when I think founder, I think shovel. We are both digging this ground to plant. Not that I dug. You came here like, oh, is it growing? Okay, let's direct the sunlight to this place. We are in the field. The sun will eventually shine here. Does that make sense? Like the analogy of cooking. Don't come when the food is ready and say, oh, just leave it to boil for another 5 minutes or cook for more. Like, this is not what co-founding means. In the real design of Silicon Valley co-foundership, it is this co-founder wrote the code. This co-founder marketed the product, and they were involved as maybe an early product manager before the launch. Then they now kickstart their marketing operations. This person designed it, is the visionary on it. If it is not like that, it's imbalanced. If I should start another tech company, I could have a co-founder, but I assure you that I will not lift a shovel until that co-founder is around. So we are both lifting shovels and both digging. Regardless of the excitement I have to dig and plant or to start cooking that food, I won't even cut the onions. I will only cut when you're around. Let's cut onions together. And when we cut it, we boil the rice together.
You're both co-founders.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it is a co-founding situation. Not that, you're building, you're stressed, and you hired someone and you're like, I like your vibe, come be my co-founder. No, it has been founded already. The thing has been founded. You don't bring a co-founder after a business has been founded.
Okay.
And if you check very well, each of these people who we have said they're my co-founders At what point did you become a co-founder? At what point was this company set up? And you will see that there is at least a 1 year or 3 year gap between you becoming a co-founder when the business was founded. And then it now becomes a discrepancy in the story.
Yeah.
If you married somebody after 5 years of having a child with somebody else, are they your first wife?
Yeah.
You married somebody, like it doesn't, the story is
It
not.
doesn't balance, yeah.
It doesn't balance. And that's why I just thought, you know what, Evans, there's a vision you have. Build what you want to see out there in the world. You want a simpler website builder, something that is very easy. Please focus and go build that thing. You know how to talk to a team, you know how to motivate them enough to build. Go and do that thing. You know, maybe you should think about. You're a Christian, right?
Yeah.
I don't know your audience on this thing, but
No, it's fine to talk about faith.
the last time someone called me to ask about co-found or no co-founder, this is someone who was doing great by themselves, someone I've known and respected their work. This lady calls me to ask me, what do you think? Should I get a co-founder? She was like, I know Evans. And you said, I know you're a Christian. I was like, okay. You want the Christian part of this story? The earliest story of co-founder I remember is Moses and Aaron. And I said, who was called to the burning bush? I said, Moses. Who experienced God firsthand? Moses. Who suggested Aaron? Moses. Why did he suggest Aaron? You know I'm a stammerer. I can't really face this Pharaoh guy by myself. You understand?
Yeah.
It was self-doubt that brought out Aaron.
No, but out Aaron, yeah.
Fast forward that story to when Moses was going back to meet, you know, I would say board of directors, when he went to pick up the 10 Commandments. When he came back downstairs from that Mount Sinai, who was the one building the golden calf? Aaron.
Yeah.
The same co-founder you said, oh, blah, 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 blah. Because the truth is that sometimes the vision belongs to you. In fact, with what I've known now, I would even want a co-founder in maybe another venture, if possible, who has also built and failed in the past, who has battle scars from building a business. Not someone who this is their first rodeo, and then you're teaching them, now this is how we promote a business online. You understand? You need someone who already has that experience themselves, because it gives you a much more balanced view on how to go with these things.
True.
You know? At the time we're having challenges, I reached out to some people and they told me their co-founder stories, which they will not even say online as well. And I was like, so you all are having all these problems and just being
no one is talking about it.
You know, it's part of the business. You don't sell, you don't put those bad stories online. You know, come on.
Oh my
gosh. Know, we are all rock stars at what we are doing. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? So everybody is just dying silently. Okay, cool stuff. Let's keep going. You know, but that's the reality. You know, in the past 1 year, there's been several startups that have failed enough in Nigeria. If you read the stories, when you dig through those stories, you see one person who is appropriating funds, or one person who is saying, oh, let's employ this other person, let's not do this. And you see all those gaps. You know, if you check it very well, when the center cannot hold, things will actually fall apart. You know, from the leadership that affects every other person. The culture of the company is actually a summation of the culture of the co-founders.
Founders, yes.
Founders of that business. So if you guys have conflict idea, it will dissipate to the rest of the team. And then you now have a bigger challenge that you're trying to solve.
Wow. That's like a whole lot of stuff to unpack about. Seems like you should do co-founder 101.
Nah, I'm not even I don't listen, the one of the reasons I don't even share a lot online is because I could be wrong.
No, but you're sharing from your experience, so your experience is the most authentic thing.
My experience is unique to me. There are people who have more beautiful stories, right? Some people have even married their co-founders. Amazing. You understand? But my story is unique to me.
Yeah.
There are other people who have seen something similar, and a few of them may be able to relate. But I can't put it out there and say this is what gets to happen. That's not what I'm saying. This is what could happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I see it, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you were talking about the Aaron and Moses analogy, I have never heard it from that, like the story being, drawing the whole founder, co-founder thing. But just hearing you talk, I was like, okay, yeah, this
But
is actually true.
Connects,
yeah,
right?
I can see how it connects.
Because
yeah.
on a nice day, Aaron knows that Moses went up the mountain to get the 10 Commandments. Dude,
Yeah.
you could literally tell them to do anything but create a golden calf to worship.
Yeah.
You have seen this God deliver these guys in the past.
Like, how would you still do this that that
Exactly.
God wouldn't approve?
Exactly. Like, that story made sense to me because when I read Bible, I see things differently because of my experiences. Like, even when you say things like, can two go together except if they agree? Which is in the Bible as well. Can two people actually move in the same direction? If they're not in agreement, they can't move in the same direction.
Yeah.
So life, it gives you different, ideas and how to navigate things.
Okay. In one of your Medium articles, I know you talked about, or you wrote about hiring character over skills. I know that's like it's been a while.
2018, I wrote that thing.
Yeah, but I would like to think that it's still in line with your current, thought process. But could you just share more about this experience and hiring in general? Why you feel or why you believe that hiring over character is much more important than hiring over skill?
Because eventually you're not trying to hire. Okay, let me put it this way. A team of 1A player, and so let's say you have A, B, C in the grade of players you have, right? Let's even say it's a football team, A, B, C. You're better off having a team of everybody's a B. B, C, B, C, more B's than C's. Then you have two people who are A and every other person is a C. It might be difficult for them to, and I'm saying this because if you focus on the skill, remember that it is teams that win championships. It's not a single player thing, right? Most times when people hire one rock star, and they neglect the character of that rock star. You know what? He has the skill. We don't need him to even have a good character. They get to regret it. Because that one rock star can eventually build or work with your team in a way that other people on the team may start feeling less of themselves if that person has the right character. I'm not saying skill is not important. That's not what I'm implying by that writing. Or that. This is why I don't even write a lot online, because these things can be debated. It can be, maybe it's even wrong. But I think character is important because character would help form the team. Character would mean there is teamwork. Character would mean that there is a culture fit. You understand? And these things are important. While in VZ, I think there was a time we had one person on the team who is really good. Really good, and character was nothing for me at the time I hired this person. When I realized there's a different character between what they show to the leader versus what they show to their peers, I'm like, wow, there are levels to this character thing. Because with the peers, this person is unavailable on phone, and this is for a 100% remote company. Always unavailable. You can only reach the person at times like 11 p.m., 10 p.m. And I'm like, dude, this makes no sense. And then you receive multiple feedback from people. I can't reach this person. And this person is a developer. You're just like, listen, it's not working. Either you fix this or we'll let you go. And eventually, the week you're trying to, one really important week, you also as leader get the same treatment of not being able to reach the person, and then 3 days has gone by. You're like, no, I'm done with this. You see, that's where you see that character can be important, but things like communication, yes, it's a skill, but it's more of a character soft skill. You can choose to say, I want that person who is best at writing Python code because you're being an AI company. But I hope that person can communicate as well. Because if they can't, and they have a very terrible character when it comes to, being accountable or giving feedback or being able to receive feedback, that person's ability to write code is useless to you, because code that cannot be improved or is not well documented for somebody else to continue from where they stopped is not good code eventually. So essentially, you find that character is super important. Sometimes over the skill, because someone who has a good character may also be teachable to become better. Sometimes they don't hire the best people, the absolute best person for something. I would rather hire someone who is second best, because it takes lots of humility to understand you're not the best at that thing, plus you striving that there is room to improve on this thing. Sorry. So because of that, I feel like it's important to have someone who is teachable, someone who sees that there's room to grow. I think you're better off hiring that person than someone who feels that they're absolute best at what they do, because they may not have the growth mindset to even improve on the areas they fall short.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just knowing that it's not just all about skill, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with a human being, and a human being is much more than the skill they possess. It's like the character that they have. That's what will help you work with them. And as a founder, how can you spot this character in the person? Is it something that you can immediately spot, like, okay, this person has a good character maybe during the interview, or is it something that the person starts working with you and then you start to see the character, either the character flaws or maybe the good character? So my question is, this character thing, is it something that is easy to spot, just first impressions, or is something that over a while you get more sensitive to the character?
I think that over time I've learned how to spot it early, and there's something I just put in place. So now, if I'm to hire someone, I'm kind of the last to speak to the person.
Okay.
The first people who would interview you is the team that you'll be working in. So that way, even if you know who is the founder or the CEO of the company, when you're thinking a startup, you'll meet the person immediately. You will meet the team you're going to be working in. And then you're meeting like 3 people from the get-go. And they are all talking to you about what you do. I mean, we've done like a tech test. So things like the skill, just use a test to evaluate the skill, right? Give them a task and see how they do that task. And that's why skill is not that, I won't say it's not that important, but it doesn't hold much water compared to the fact that this person will be working in a team. It's different if you're working with a freelancer. You don't need to worry about a character because they're here for 1 month to implement this. You understand? But if it's a team member you're bringing in for a long term, you want to be sure they are a team player, they know how to talk to others, they are not rude by default, they are kind by default, they're not one who would point out fingers and say, this is the person who did this wrong and I'm not going to fix it. They are much more, how can we fix this? You talk to them, ask them about their past company, who was their favorite team member back then and what did they like? Ask them questions that just get them to talk. And then you see the way they talk, the way they respond. Are they even jovial? Do they have a light heart? And all of these things follow in the feedback questionnaire before it even gets to me to then review that person's skill.
Yeah, so final question, Evans. I would say like you've had a really interesting career progression and you're still on your journey. But what would you say has been like one of the most rewarding experiences throughout your entrepreneurship journey that you can never forget?
One of the most rewarding experience. I think one of the heights back in Nigeria was being recognized by Forbes. I was like, wow, this little thing you've been doing, it's gotten to this level. And even thinking deeply about the access entrepreneurship has given me, it's been really good. It's been really good. More recently, thinking about the fact that, I've built something like Busy that is sustainable, that is scalable. I think there's multiple different heights in my career, which when I think about them, it's a rewarding, it's a fine experience. I feel good that I'm still able to be here, in sound mind and sound body, in good health, to be able to keep building. And even when I'm not even saying anything, I realize that I'm also inspiring other people to build. I get people's feedback from time to time who tell me, listen, sometimes when you do this thing, it just shows that somebody else can do it. And I'm like, if that's what is inspiring you, my dear, keep going.
Yeah.
So it's been rewarding entirely. I'm not going to pick out the exact one that is the most rewarding, but it's been good. It's been good so far.
Yeah, that's really exciting to hear, and wishing you all the best. You're also someone that has been inspiring to me, so it's really an honor to have you on the podcast and just interact and hear your story. Excited to see all the features, the feature dropping tomorrow from Busy and every other thing that you'll be doing. Thank you so much, and yeah, all the best in all your endeavors. Thank you to everyone for joining us in today's episode of the podcast, and I hope you've enjoyed everything. See you in another episode. Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.